Debbie Bell Hosking of Finextra, and I'm here in Dublin at the Temenos Community Forum's event where the theme is Digital to the Core. We're talking about US banks in need of transformation, and joining me is John Wang of Deloitte and Emily Steele of Temenos. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
US banks in need of transformation. Why? Why now?
Yeah, they definitely are, and I would articulate that US banks are in need of transformation for three primary reasons. The landscape and pace of change that is occurring in the US and around the world is just unprecedented. It is really happening because of the US regulatory landscapes. Banks are under a tremendous pressure. Customer expectations are rising like we've never seen before. You've got the likes of the Amazons, the Alibabas, really challenging and being able to stand up banks today and really challenging the traditional banking landscape. In addition to that, the millennials of the world do not have loyalty in the same way that they once did, and instead they're really choosing financial institutions and financial services based on experience. So banks are challenged to reinvent themselves in order to create customer journeys that really cater to this new millennial, this new change, and a new way of banking, really. And the time is now because it's just very simple for financial institutions to stand up right beside you and make competition more challenging. It really is.
To build on that, because we talked about this earlier, the time is now to start.
Yeah.
And the transformation journey takes time, right?
It does.
And we're used to the US being kind of ahead of the market in a lot of areas. Digital banking, funny enough, they're actually behind in a lot of areas. You see what's happening in the UK here with all these new startup banks. You can throw a frisbee and hit 20 new startup banks coming up, and that's changing the way that the competition works. Transformation takes time. It's a change in culture, it's a change in mindset, and now is the time that you need to start because it's not an easy journey. It doesn't happen overnight. So absolutely now is the time to start.
It is now.
And would you say they are investing in digital transformation of their businesses?
Absolutely. So there's no question that US banks are investing. The question then is how effective the investments are. You see, so this is an Economist article that talked about BBVA. I know it's not the US, but they said, we're going to be a digital bank. And you look at the investments in digital versus the return on equity or your cost income ratios, and the investments aren't paying off in the way that they're necessarily looking to, so which begs the question, are we making the right kind of investments? Are we investing in the right kind of foundational pieces? How are we really positioning the banks for long-term success?
Yeah, and I believe that financial institutions, banks are definitely investing. If you think of technology spend, half of technology spend actually occurs in the US. So that investment is there. The real question I think that's being asked now is, what is digital? And how do you actually invest in the right things to affect the customer experience, the customer journey, really ensuring that you've got the technology behind you to support a seamless, frictionless integration. So absolutely the investment is now, it is occurring, and it's really about what to invest in.
I like the theme, digital to the core. This makes sense, right? Digital is not a shiny object.
Right.
It's not just a new website. It's about fundamentally rethinking your business. So you're not just experimenting or doing digital, you're actually becoming digital, which means new business models, new ways of making money, new ways of engaging with your customers and your partner ecosystem, which is what Temenos is trying to do, right?
I agree. Yeah. It really is a reinvention in banking.
Right.
And financial institutions need to reimagine the way that they work and reinvest in the way that they do business.
So what, in that reimagining, what route do you think they should be taking?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that we would prescribe a specific route because each financial institution needs to have their own flavor. It's about risk appetite. It's about culture and appetite for change. So we really view it as there are three options for doing some sort of transformation. One of them that we strongly believe in is progressive renovation. You do not have to rip everything out and completely change the bank. Do it one step at a time or progressively. A second option that's becoming more popular is the build and migrate. And you and I were talking about this earlier, where a financial institution stands up a new bank directly beside the existing bank, and then really offers new products into the bank that's been stood up, and gradually migrates off of the old system, becoming much more popular at this time, and then certainly the traditional of a big bank.
Which is painful.
Not as common any longer,
No.
but certainly an option still today.
Absolutely.
So how would you sum up the challenges they face? And also, is it about more than just embracing technology?
It's absolutely more about embracing technology. And this, again, we were talking about this earlier. It is a cultural change that starts from the top down. But it can't just be a top-down initiative. You need people to believe and understand why they're making these changes. It's a new way of thinking. The challenge today, frankly, a lot of these existing banks and the executives are motivated a certain way. They're rewarded a certain way. They need to be rewarded to think about the future, looking not just 2-3 years, but 5 years, 10 years out, and investing for the future on new platforms, new ways of operating, new ways of generating business, right?
Yeah, we completely agree.
Yeah.
The time is now to reinvent.
Well, thank you both. Thank you, John. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching.